God of War Ragnarok review, my fair review. This is a 100% review. I platinumed Ragnarok and its DLC Valhalla. I did all trophies and time has come for a proper review. So, story of Kratos and his son Atreus continues in epic Norse saga. 2 years after the happenings of God of War 1. Let's see if developers learned anything from their previous mistakes from their first game. Let's rate Ragnarok properly as it deserves. PS. Valhalla DLC for Ragnarok will be in a separate video because it deserves a review on its own. I'm just doing the review for Ragnarok main campaign here. First section is the story. Oh man. Hollywood-like writing continues. They learned nothing from previous mess in terms of writing. Acting is top-notch, but this game goes up and down non-stop from start to finish 90 hours in a row. The name of the game is God of War, and the plot is focused on his son. Not only that you get to play as his son, also game feels more like Harry Potter crap than God of War in moments where you get to play as Atreus. God of War, aka Kratos, matured. He only cares about his son and nothing else. This is not Kratos from 2000s anymore. Kratos is now 1055 years old, a demigod that's cursed. He cannot die. How story goes? Well, crazy good action cutscenes interrupted with silly writing. Children are everywhere, from Midgard to Asgard. It's unreal. It really feels like Harry Potter fairy tale. Odin is portrayed like some low-life criminal. Not even for once I had a feeling like I'm going against the main god of Norse mythology. Thor was done well to some point, most of the familiar actors are back, and the best part by far in the game, aside from full action cutscenes, are Mimir's quotes. Game can really shine at moments and then somehow manages to ruin it all in 2 stupid lines. Shame. Now, there was a fix for the entire franchise. It's very simple. I can even teach these stupid writers of how to write a good script for God of War Ragnarok instead of this Harry Potter crap. Imagine the next God of War scenario. Kratos is in his house with his son. Thor and Odin visit like they do in a real game. And bam! Odin kills that irritating brat, Atreus, while Kratos is fighting Thor. And voila! God of War is awakened, stress is there, script is perfect, Kratos shaves that dirty beard, puts another war paint on his other eye, and goes for a full slaughter of all Norse gods. Imagine how great that game would be. Now, that's God of War. What we got in Ragnarok is a fairy tale. Alas, that's how it is, and nothing we can do about it. 4 out of 10 for the story. Next section would be game bugs and optimization. Perfect game, optimized to perfection. Mega fast loading screens, bug-free and polished. Controls are extremely responsive. Pure 10 out of 10. Next section would be game time. I platinumed this game and it took me around 90 hours to do it on the hardest difficulty available. Give me God of War. I got the game for $50 by the way, so it's worth it. It was fun, especially combat. This is one humongous game by the way, one of the largest and biggest brawlers in the history of gaming. Well, it's more like a mini RPG brawler, but you get the point. The game also offers New Game Plus with additional difficulty, so 10 out of 10 for the game time. Next section would be game difficulty. Amazing. Mega hard and punishing on the hardest difficulty, and there are 4 easier difficulties for everyone to play. In other words, everyone can play this. This is a perfectly balanced game. AI is simply amazing. They attack you at the same time, they're aggressive enough, and most of them will use multiple combo attacks in a row with very little room to breathe outside of their movesets. Challenging, immersive, and rarely boring difficulty. 10 out of 10 for the game difficulty. Next section is maps and graphics. Nothing new with graphics here. The game feels like one huge 3 times the size DLC from the first game. Graphics are fine, a bit outdated, but hey, Sony's hardware is to blame for graphic limitations here. The game looks nice, don't get me wrong, it's indeed a gorgeous AAA title, but a bit outdated graphics for 2024 now, especially face animations for everyone except Kratos in this game. As far as maps go, we got 9 maps, 9 huge realms to visit and explore, bunch of things to do on those maps as well. On top of the world map, the entire UI is straight perfect. 9 out of 10 for maps and graphics. Next section is the most important one. Gameplay. Here we go, ups and downs. Combat is straight brilliant, but the game bombards you with puzzles on every 15 minutes. God of puzzles. For those that dislike adventures, this could be a huge problem. I have nothing against puzzles, I love puzzles, but I have to say it how it is. There is a lot of puzzles and tedious backtracking later on, if you want to 100% the game, that is. As far as combat goes, man, it's extremely satisfying, but it can take over 50 to 100 hours to master the combat. If you master the combat, it will look and feel amazing, but it can really take a lot to master it. Gameplay overall is full to the brim with areas to explore and discover, full to the brim with loot and things to do along the way. I had a lot of fun, I really did. If not for Atreus parts, it would be a perfect game, but alas, game goes downhill way too many times. I bought God of War, not God of Brats. I wanna play God of War with God of War. It's simple as that. 8 out of 10 for the gameplay. Next section is leveling and itemization. Bunch of things to do, pretty much the same things like in the first part. Upgrades for axe, swords, and new weapon is added in the game as well, the spear. Spear adds even more combos and variety to already huge movesets. Of course, there is a classic leveling through stats and bunch of different actives and passives through gear that you can equip on Kratos. And you can also gear up Atreus and Freya as well as your companions. Spells are back for weapons, or so-called light and heavy runic attacks. Animations are simply amazing on every single ulti in the game. Executions are back and they're brutal as well. You'll spend time looting extra HP, extra rage and crafting materials from start to finish. New Game Plus will offer even more loot and extra armor sets as well. 9 out of 10 for leveling and itemization. Next section would be NPCs and enemies. A lot of NPCs, some of them are new, but most of them are old NPCs from the first game. Mimir was brilliant as always. Kratos is on his redemption path and Atreus is somehow even more irritating than he used to be in the first game. Norse gods are in abundance, and what's worth mentioning is how big a Ragnarok is from the first God of War. Enemy variety is at least tripled, while boss variety is at least 4 times bigger. They added a lot of mini bosses, big bosses and unique enemies in the game on top of all returning enemies from the first game. Campaign boss fights are classic cinematic Hollywood-like forgiving battles, but real bosses, real gameplay bosses, are actually optional bosses. Valkyries, berserkers, hellspawns, bosses that guard secret loot, and of course dragons, drakes and other monstrosities. This game needs some unforgiving difficulty without autosave options during campaign bosses in the future. Then I would give it a perfect score. Right now, it doesn't deserve that. 9 out of 10 for NPCs and enemies. Last section would be music and sound. What is there to say? Brilliant voice acting, amazing music and great sound effects. This is a pure 10 out of 10. Final verdict. We got 79 points in 9 sections, and that would be exactly 8.7 out of 10 for God of War Ragnarok. One huge epic adventure, ruined with plot holes and silly writing, ruined with forgiving autosave options in the middle of boss fights so they could accommodate all players in the world, ruined with garbage Atreus parts in abundance. There was huge potential here, but agenda got in the God of War as well. Shame. Perfect character for carnage and destruction is not even the main character and the main protagonist in its own game that carries his name. And man, if they just killed Atreus at the start and made this game a bit darker, it had the potential to become a pure masterpiece, but alas, that was not the case. Still, with all of its flaws aside, this is one huge adventure worth buying and worth playing. God forbid if the next game in this universe is called God of War without Kratos Kratos, and I believe it's gonna be like that, playing with that little shit Atreus, I'll skip it. And I'm 99% sure that's gonna be the next scenario. Rest in peace Kratos, at least you got great DLC in Valhalla, which I'll cover in the next video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll be seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching.